All right, everyone, it's story time. I hope you're washing your dishes or something else semi-productive because this is going to be about a 30-minute video with one of my best friends, Shirley.
Hi! It's kind of high.
Hi!
Her kids say it now.
Right, it's true.
I took them to the park today and they're like, hi!
This is one of my best friends. Her name is Shirley. I call her Shirleykins today.
I call her Kenny Lou.
It's true. I had asked her if she would be okay kind of talking to me about her experience because she also has lost a baby. Hey! And it's the most interesting part is that we actually are close friends with multiple people who have lost a baby, and that I know was a God thing. Like,
Yeah.
now granted, there are lots of people that we probably are unaware of that have lost a child but have never said anything.
Yeah.
But the fact that we all know each other and actually know about it, that I think is the incredible part and something that is going to be a big blessing for all of us and has been.
Yeah. I think the more that I find, not in a weird way, but it's like when I find out that one of my friends has lost a baby, it's obviously not a good thing. It's super sad, but it's kind of like, oh, I'm not alone. Like, I can talk to Kenna and like other friends and just be like, they actually understand me. They're not the typical like, oh, I'm sorry, I know how you feel, but no, you don't. So, which, I mean, I'm not trying to mock or anything.
Yeah.
But like, it's just kind of comforting when I saw the picture of her baby on Facebook. That was hard for 3 weeks. It was weird. Like, I just cried. My heart hurt for her, and it was kind of that I knew what she was feeling. Like, I didn't want to bombard her phone because I just remember it's like I wanted help, but I didn't want help. I don't know. I'm just rambling. Sorry.
This is perfect. I keep telling her she has to stop apologizing for everything. She keeps saying she's sorry and she's not doing anything wrong.
Sorry. I guess, but so I lost Tyler 4 years ago, and for a long time I was like, why? You know? And then it wasn't until 2 years later, like literally 2 years, almost 2 years to the day, that I finally found out the reason. And it was another friend had reached out. She was, I think, 16 weeks pregnant. She had gone to the hospital. She had like some kind of blood disease. And anyways, her body started contracting, and then the baby came out. And I know some people are like, oh, well, there's miscarriages, and then there's babies, and then there's an infant death. But to me, it's a loss is a loss. When you see those hands, you see the feet, you see the face, like, that's a baby. And there's a heartbeat, you know. And so we've had miscarriages, had babies. Mine passed at birth, and Kenna, you know, had her baby for 7 months. And I don't like when people compare. Like, her pain is, you know, that's hard for her, and then mine is hard for me. And so when I share my story of like how it happened, and then another lady, like, she lost her baby, I found out also at 4 months. And she's like, oh, but it's not as hard as yours. I'm like, yes, it is. Like, because that was your baby, you know, and we're all moms. So, like, I love Tyler the same. I love Isabel. Like, I love Henry. I love the babies that I miscarried. I don't know if they were boy or girl, so I felt like one of them was a boy. I don't know what the other one was. The first miscarriage, I remember it was happening, and then I just felt like the little spirit of a boy leave, and so I guess it was a boy.
Yours was at birth, and how far along were you?
So I was 5 months. I was 20 weeks. I was on vacation when it happened. And so it's kind of a crazy story. So I got the okay to travel. Like, everything was
Well, yeah, you're
fine.
5 months. I mean, you were still
Yeah.
okay at that time.
Yeah, and so I went, and I did do a lot of walking. Like, you know, Europe, you walk. Yeah, I went to go meet up with my parents.
And everything was fine with the pregnancy.
Everything was fine. Everything looked good. Healthy little boys. I was supposed to get a cab to go to the airport to come back to the United States. I was with my brother and Kirby. And like, kind of said it was a family trip. My water broke. And the first hospital we went to, they didn't even speak English. So when I got there, trying to say, baby, water broke, you know, trying to explain like what happened. They were trying to use Google Translate. And I was like, yeah,
We
you're
all
not
know how
touching
Google
me.
Translate works. It's so good. I mean, it's the best thing ever.
Yeah,
Isn't
no.
it? I'm grateful for Google Translate.
Well, she tried to like say certain things, and I was like, no. I'm like, you're not touching me. I don't know what you're saying. But the hard part was they like put me in a room kind of like this, like with a desk and a chair, and they're like, Kirby can't come with me, and they started like ambushing me with questions. I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't want to be in this room right now. So, but luckily my dad, he was working overseas and with the government, and so he got, long story short, connections, went to another hospital, someone that spoke more English.
Still wasn't the greatest of hospitals.
No, it was
Old,
ancient hospitals.
Yeah.
Like kind of like the scary movies, honestly. Like this, like those halls. I'm like, oh gosh, like someone's gonna murder me here. But
was it very big?
No.
That's what I imagined.
It wasn't very big, and
maybe like an 8x12.
Probably.
I love you too. Good night.
So what's crazy is over there they did a sonogram. Baby looked healthy still, moving. So I kind of had that hope. And there's just miracle stories all the time, you know. And I was like, well, he's healthy and all that stuff. He's still moving. His heartbeat's really strong, so maybe. But something inside of me knew something was going to happen, but try to be hopeful in those circumstances. They went ahead and just induced me because they explained that I could have an infection, and then my uterus would be taken out, and then for sure, like, no babies. And we didn't want that to happen, especially Kirby. He didn't want that. They said that contractions wouldn't start for 5 hours, but I actually had him within 5 hours.
Oh, so, wow.
Which is kind of crazy. And they were trying to kick Kirby and my parents out of the hospital because they had this rule, like, women only.
Wow.
And I was like...
You're like too ancient. Stop.
Well, my dad was like, I work for the government. We ain't leaving, you know? Yeah. And so I was grateful for that. They had a rule, like, 7 o'clock. Like, people have to be out. And the baby came at 7 o'clock.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so my parents got to see him. They were really kind about it. They had the opportunity to hold Tyler, but because I only had 5 minutes with him, they didn't want to take that for me and Kirby. So I really appreciated that they were thoughtful. Even in the time they could have held him and had that, they chose not to, so that we could have that, you know. And I think the hard part is they told me, you know, you're not going to start contractions for 5 hours. And I'm just like banging on the wall. I'm like, this hurts. They said not 5 hours. And lo and behold, I was at the end of it. I was actually going to be on my way to get an epidural. So I was like, Kirby, this is the beginning. I can't do this. Yeah. So, but Kirby's all, you know, or in another country, you can't get an epidural here. What if they put it in the wrong place? Oh. And I'm like, you're not the one having the baby. You take the pain. No. But so I was gonna be on my way, and I was like, well, maybe I have to poop because, you know, I felt like something going on. And so there, you don't have a bathroom in your own room. You have to go to like a public women's stall, like in the hallway. And so my mom and I went. I was just in pain, and all of a sudden, like, I see him starting to come out. This is where everyone keeps asking me. I'll be honest, it's kind of annoying. Like,
that they keep asking
was he alive? Was he stillborn? Was he this? I'm like, the very last time they did a sonogram, his heartbeat was really strong. All I see is him coming. My mom is screaming, like, for help. I'm just like, what the crap is going on? I'm delivering my own baby. So
and you were in the bathroom.
I was literally sitting on the toilet. And I'm just like trying to like breathe. I'm like, what do I do? How do I do this? You know? And so my mom's screaming for the doctor. And then next thing you know, the doctors and nurse are coming in, they grab him and cut the cord, and they run out, and I'm screaming for Kirby. I just remember like madness. You know.
I bet. And so, did they leave you in the bathroom?
No, I had to walk. So I'm still contracting with the placenta, and so I'm walking back to the room.
And you're like, ugh.
Yeah, and what's hard is that the only time they allowed me to hold Tyler was when I was still contracting with the placenta. I didn't get to like sit up. I was still in pain. I'm trying to move, and it was just like, okay, here's the baby. I'm trying to soak it in, and the next thing you know it, like, he's gone. So it was kind of like no closure.
Yeah.
So then after that, my dad, luckily, like, he took pictures, and so I got pictures of him and pictures of Kirby and I as a family, and with Tyler. And I think the hardest part after that, obviously, going down this hall, and babies are just crying. And for me, at that moment, I was like, I wish my baby was screaming at the top of his lungs, you know? I wish that was my baby. I'm just so grateful my dad was there, because I love him. Because they were just going to throw him away. They weren't going to even give me the option for burying him, even though he was of age as a baby. My dad's like, no, we're going to get him cremated. And I didn't want to bury him anyways, because I can't fly to the Czech Republic anytime.
When would you be back?
So I like honestly never want to go back.
one thing that she mentioned is she couldn't bring him back. Like, they didn't give you that option. They didn't allow you to.
Oh, no. The only way was by cremation. So I couldn't even have buried him here if I wanted to. So, yeah, that wasn't an option. So, luckily, the embassy, they, like, got in contact and they gave him the body to the, what's the place? I can't think.
Morgue.
There you go. I was like, I think it was M, but I don't want to sound dumb. You know, it was a couple days that, you know, before they were going to give him to me. And I remember being so anxious just to hold that urn. Like I said, the way it happened, I was contracting and got a few minutes. And next thing you know, they're taking him. And I'm just like, can I just have a freaking moment? And so according to my therapist, I don't like people just running off with my kids and stuff or trying to take charge, because it brings me to the moment where, like, I couldn't be in charge to see my own kid.
Well, it's traumatic.
Yeah.
That is supposed to be a kind of peaceful moment. Like, yeah, there's still a little bit of chaos. You're pushing, it hurts, and the doctors are all there. But typically, it's a calm environment. You know, the doctors, the nurses, they remain as calm as possible to help you through everything. To have it happen like that, your mom is screaming, trying to get you help. You're in the bathroom. You're not even laying down to try and, you know, have the baby. Which, sitting up is probably the best way to have them anyway.
Yeah.
Or so I've heard.
Yeah.
And then it is so early in Pitocin, and it was a forced labor, and a different country. Nobody speaks English. You can't, like, everything about that is traumatic. Yeah. And so, yes, that memory of your firstborn being taken immediately, how could you not hurt?
Yeah.
And yes, now when your other kids are crying and somebody else wants to try and take them, that's painful.
Yeah.
Because to you, it's like, it's a way to protect and honor your children now.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, like, another reason, like, because, like, going down that hall and hearing the babies cry, and it was like, I can't do anything for Tyler. Like, that's it, you know? So when Isabel would cry or Henry cried, it's like, I can do something, you know?
Yeah.
I can make that stop. Like, just give me the baby, and once he's calm or she's calm, like, I'll give them back. Like, I'm not a baby hogger, you know? But let me just do that. Don't try to, like, overstep me, because, one, you're not the mom, you know? Yeah. Even with my own mom, like, when my kids have cried, I'm like, Mom, can I just... And she just, yeah. And no criticisms, no nothing. And even sometimes I can tell she wants to just love on them. And I try to let her, but then, like, once the crying starts, I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. You know, like, there's nothing against you. Like, this is just... What's hard is I didn't really get time to, like, you know, because he passed. We came back to the United States a week later. And then right after that, I got back, like, I went back to school, so I had classes again. I had an internship set up. And then Kirby taking the MCAT. We had to, like, get back into life quickly. And then I got pregnant really quickly. And so the whole time through the pregnancy, I'm just like, shoot, I got to keep this baby alive, because I can't, you know, lose another one. I remember Kirby's family was going to do a reunion that year. And it was actually around the 20-week mark, like 18, 20 weeks, when they were going to go. And so, you know, they asked, you know, hey, you want to go? And I was like, I can't go anywhere. And even with Henry, I was like, I am not moving anywhere. Like, I was like, I am not leaving, because last time I was pregnant, it was a disaster. I mean, you knew me before, like, the kids. I was the girl, like, hey, let's go out. Let's, you know, have fun. Let's stay late, you know. In
a healthy way. Like, Shirley was not the crazy party person.
No, I was like, hey, let's go dancing, you know.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to Alamire's with me? Or were you on your mission? You were on your mission.
I was on my mission.
Dang.
Rude.
Sorry.
You know, I was back for a long time.
My bad.
I was, like, engaged for 8 months, Shirley.
Yeah.
Way to let life get in the way.
We're planning a wedding. I didn't think about it. Sorry. Anyways, like, if you knew me before, I was actually the person, like, when I'm a mom, we can go out and do late things. And, like, the second all this stuff happened, like, I changed. And sometimes I get frustrated in the ways that I've changed, because I'm like, it wasn't like this before, you know? And I'm just like, I was fun. I wasn't so, like, paranoid.
I was fun. What happened to me? I'm a fun sucker.
Well, like, I hate New Year's Eve. I hate New Year's Eve. So I was in Europe over Christmas Eve. So I felt Tyler for the first and only time kicking on Christmas Day. And then New Year's Eve happened, and then 3 days later I lost him. And so like I just remember though starting feeling weird around New Year's Eve. And so like every New Year's Eve it triggers. But according to my therapist, I can hate New Year's Eve for the rest of my life.
That's fine.
I'm just gonna put that out there.
And that's okay. You don't have to enjoy New Year's Eve. So I wanted to kind of like insert something that keeps coming to my mind is mom shaming and how bad that is. And there's that awesome gal, I don't remember her name, she's the one that has like the coffee always, and she like calls out all moms on, she's gorgeous, always has her hair
Rachel
done.
Hollis? The
I'm
one
gonna
that
look her up.
writes the book Girl Wash Your Face?
I don't think so.
Oh, that's a really good book. She has a book also saying, Girl, Stop Apologizing.
Maybe. You should read that one. Christina Kuzmic. Oh, I love that woman.
I've heard of her. I have never
How
heard
to
of her
Not
herself.
Mom Shame. There's a lot of, like, I see almost all her videos. All the ones that I have seen, I'm like, she's got it. And honestly, there's so much about the things that she shares that are so true. And I'd love to bring a little bit of that into this conversation, you know, how not necessarily that people are mom shaming us for having lost a kid, because those things were, like, for us, they were inevitable.
Yeah.
What could we have done? I don't know. In your case, probably nothing.
Nope, I just popped.
Here's the thing, had you stayed in the United States, would it have happened anyway?
I
Maybe.
think of that. Yeah.
Maybe.
But what's crazy, I don't think I told you this, when I was pregnant with Tyler, I always had that feeling something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Something's gonna, I didn't think he was gonna come that early. I thought maybe like 6 or 7 months. That's what I was thinking. But like at an age where like we'd probably be in the NICU for a long time, but it wasn't here.
And losing a baby at any stage, it's not easy.
Even if it's 5 weeks pregnant. 'Cause
Yeah.
I was 5 weeks pregnant.
Oh, you were barely even pregnant. No. You were pregnant.
Yeah. So,
There was a baby in there.
because the second you see those lines, you're planning.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how far along you are, because I was, I believe, 6 weeks when that first miscarriage happened. But even then, I could see that there was a tiny itty bitty little beam that was there. So don't ever feel like you're, as little as it is, pregnancy doesn't count. And don't feel that you weren't a mother just because the baby maybe wasn't born if you had a miscarriage. You are a mother. The moment that you got pregnant, you're a mother. And don't let anybody tell you differently. On Mother's Day, you celebrate Mother's Day. And let people celebrate you. And if they don't, say, hey, don't forget me.
Yes.
At church, when they pass around those candies, those flowers, those whatever.
My chocolate. My first Mother's Day was a little rough, but my parents, they got me the picture that's right there of Jesus Christ holding the baby. I love my mom. She always treats me like the same. That day she asked me, what do you want for breakfast? And it didn't matter, like, you know, Tyler wasn't there. She just knew I was a mom. And I was actually pregnant with Isabel, so I'm like, Mommy 2 times. So I'm
That's
like,
right.
But she was just so kind, like always, like never leaving me out. Like I'm just as important as her. Hello, Mama.
Hello, Kim.
What is one suggestion that you have for the husbands when it comes to support during miscarriages or loss of a baby? Maybe something that you feel has helped you to either for you to cope or for you to support me.
So hard. As for the husband coping, that kind of depends on just how different people are. Some guys are more emotional about those kind of things as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are that kind of guy, don't hold in your emotions either. And it's going to be just as important for you to get over your grieving. For me, it was always real, but it's less attached to the baby, especially like a miscarriage state in the earlier months. For me, it became more real when you see the bump and you can start feeling kicks and stuff like that.
I'm going to pause you right there because I've seen a lot of posts of women that have a really hard time trying to have their husbands be supportive when it's been months down the road and the wife is still grieving the miscarriage that was an early stage miscarriage. Now, for me, I'm not one that grieved probably like many of those women do, especially if they have infertility issues.
Yeah.
So each one of them gets harder and harder for them to feel okay with. And I think that makes it more challenging for the husbands because, especially if they are all early miscarriages, it gets even harder and harder. But
Yeah.
what do you think?
You just gotta suck it up and go with it. Honestly, Don't be a dick. It's that simple. Like, even like on this one, there's times where it's like, oh, she's grieving again. She's crying again. My job is to be there, to be supportive, to be helpful in any way I can. Even though I don't always understand it. Like, even these videos. We talked about it on the first one. Here I am.
You're so good.
And it really just comes down to just not thinking about yourself, but trying to like, okay, this is important to her, or this is important to you for some reason. So, you know, I don't understand it, or I don't necessarily want to enjoy it, or whatever you're doing to grieve, you do need to be trying to think of it from their point of view. And sometimes you have to be blunt and pop them back into reality too, because some people get too depressed and hold on it too much in your job. You know, you're supposed to be there, help them grieve, yeah, but also pull them back to reality. You can't let them go
To the extreme.
in either way.
Yeah, help to keep them balanced.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, because especially if you have other kids, you gotta be there for them. No, after I lost Tyler, I walked into the grocery store and I literally stood there. And I looked around and I was like, nobody knows I lost a baby.
Yeah.
This person just thinks I'm a normal person just getting groceries, you know?
I have thought that before too.
And I was like, this sucks. How am I supposed to go on? I just want to sit in my bed all day and cry, you know? And so I gave myself that time though. I didn't have like other kids, so like I could do that. Before I started school again, I had 6 days. So
I mean, a week isn't a lot.
No.
It's not that much.
It
No.
helps, but it's not a lot. It's like,
No,
it's nothing,
I
really.
didn't allow myself to really grieve until Kenna lost her baby. When I saw the picture of Kenna's little boy, I saw that and I was like, I lost a baby. Because I was so busy with Isabel, other situations that I'm not going to go talk about that were just really super frustrating. Kenna's proof that my children are not the best sleepers, right? Okay, that's another story, but so not sleeping on top of everything. When I saw that photo, I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, I started therapy in December, but it wasn't just for Tyler. It was other things going on, and I just wanted to work through it. But Tyler was definitely a big thing. But I didn't start my second therapy. Never mentioned it. I was taking 2 therapists. I had to make sure my first therapist was correct in telling me.
You need
So
to
I
make
got
sure it
2.
wasn't crazy.
Second opinion.
I was
Don't go
like, well,
crazy.
they're telling me one thing. Let me get another one. And so turns out he was right the whole time. And but she does like a deeper therapy where it kind of brings you back to the emotions and you work through it. So my emotions have been pretty intense lately because I'm working through that. And Kirby's been really supportive, which has been a huge help.
Yeah.
And so sometimes he's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I just gotta be mad, dude. Just let me be mad. Or cry or whatever. But yeah, so grieve. You have to let yourself grieve. People were just kind of telling me like I'm too sensitive, and like when I felt like I needed to let things out, it was just kind of like, why are you being like that? And so I just could never feel comfortable except, you know, being in my home, but you can't be in your home all the time. I was like, oh, I guess I can't grieve the way I need to because people are stupid and don't let you do that. And
It goes back to that same thing. Nobody knows, and if they do know, it's still not as impactful. So
And if you-
it's for them. It's
yeah.
a short thing.
I want to make this point. If you don't know, ask. Don't just assume you know what they should be doing, or don't assume, okay, well, it's been this timeline. This should be over by now. Like, just ask them, hey, are you okay? It's like that simple.
Yeah.
Yep. There are times when people ask me at work and I think that I'm okay and then I'm not. And I
Yeah.
just bust out crying and I'm like, I guess I'm not okay. and that's all right.
Yeah.
It's absolutely okay. And we all know that there are going to be moments when grieving, you have to succumb to it because it overtakes you and it's just an emotional thing that you can't control, even though you want to.
Yeah.
Don't have an emotional range of a teaspoon.
And I think one of the biggest ways to be able to help people who have had the loss of a baby is to, like Shirley said, just ask, hey, are you okay? First. And second, if they say they are okay, then it's okay, move on. But if you want to talk about the baby, then yeah, that's fine. I mean, a lot of people are okay with it. I'm okay with talking about Samuel.
Yeah, I get phone calls Like, hey, this is a hard subject. Are you okay to talk about Tyler? I'm like, yeah.
Now, sometimes if you're going to be all up in our business and asking us details about the loss, sometimes we don't want to share. Don't ask. Like, don't
be offended if we say we don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, and honestly, it's none of anybody's business what happened exactly about anything. All you need to know is there was an incredible loss, and you need to be supportive and show love. Don't try to push us into, it's okay. Shirley, it's been 4 years. You have 2 other kids. You're fine.
My response might not be very great because, therapy has made me a pretty brave person.
I feel like the weirdest part, like, I'm okay talking about Sam and everything, but it's when you get weird about it, like, oh, and then you start feeling nervous or trying to be compassionate. Like, be compassionate, but don't be like, you know what I mean?
No, I don't.
No, well, I guess from my instance,
I think I know what you're talking about.
it's like, oh, you asked me a thing, I told you something, you know the facts now. You can give me your condolences, but don't get quiet and be like, oh, what do I do now? Don't make it awkward. It's like,
Oh, I thought you were talking about me doing that.
no.
That's why I was confused. That's why I said, no, I don't know what you're talking about because I don't do that.
When other people, when like they
Yeah.
get quiet, and then the conversation gets awkward. It's like, well,
I guess in those circumstances, like what I've noticed is sometimes people have prejudged or they really just don't know how to react, that's the case too. Oh, shaming moms really fast.
Yeah, mom shaming is. It doesn't matter where in the pregnancy a person has been. They are a mom, first of all. So don't negate what they have had. That is not your place. 2, if a person has had a loss, allow them to grieve as long as they need. Be supportive, but yes, help pull them out when you feel that they are falling into deep depression. A third thing is just because a mom has other kids doesn't mean that they don't know what suffering or loss is. I have 2 other kids. I've had 3 losses. I know both. And it's never okay to tell me to just focus on my other 2 kids because I can focus on them and I can focus on my grieving. That's a healthy thing to do, is to make sure that I release the feelings that hurt. So don't tell me not to.
I can understand Kenna because I lost Tyler. He was my first one. And even though, yes, like I got pregnant quickly with Isabel, I was able to hide, in a closet if I needed to because no kids were chasing me. And so in Kenna's situation, I think that's just a lot harder because she has to put on this game face, for her kids. I see it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there are sometimes I feel like, oh my gosh, is she okay? But she has to force herself to be okay because the kids need to be okay because her kids are so sweet.
Brats, but sweet.
But no, when Jade was talking to me about Sam earlier, like she got sad and I was just like, these kids are hurting. So not only does she have to think about herself and David, she has 2 little ones too. And kids, they don't know how to grieve. They grieve in different ways, and so she has a lot on her plate to figure that out.
You never know. That saying is so true, and almost everybody has heard it at this point. Just be kind, because you never know what somebody's gone through or is going through. Be kind, because guess what? We have to be kind to others too. We've had a loss, which typically gives us more compassion. It doesn't mean that we have to be these delicate little flowers all the time or be walking. You don't have to walk on eggshells with us either, and we don't have to walk on eggshells.
I'm really not a complicated person. You just have to be kind. If you're not kind, then that's just on you.
Just be nice.
Yeah.
Right, babe?
don't.
Don't be a... I'm just kidding. Anyways, I hope you guys learned something from this.
Thank you so
And-
much, Shirley.
No, yeah.
I'm really grateful.
Thanks, guys. And for the people that have been supportive to us, we really appreciate that. That means so much.
In every way possible.
Like, there's nothing better than just having a good support system. Where, like, people that you can just be yourself and just let it out and not get judged. I think that's just huge.
Not everything's about us, but not everything's about you either.
Bye.
Bye!
Anyways, much love.
Oh yeah.